Oh guys, welcome back. We are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I never even brush my teeth. I never even make my hair. I have not a lick of makeup on. I got a pimple patch on though. Okay. And after all the videos I've made, I have never done again, or maybe I have, maybe back in the day. But we very much need a refresh. So we're doing a refresher, a get to know me currently, and I'm gonna break it down into timestamps if I can figure that out. Because all bets are off, we're talking about it all here. I'll probably go back and forth with these glasses. I have no idea. I'm trying to manage this bush money from Hawaii to I don't know wherever in the world you're watching from today till whenever time in the future. Aloha mai. Let's begin. My government name, girl. My government name is Kapua Kuheana Hao Frantz. Married name Kapua Kuheana Rasmussen. At the time I'm filming this, it's January 2026, so I am currently 32. Oh, currently 32. I hail from the island of Molokai. I have lived there all my life. However, have you ever heard the terminology the diaspora? In the context, I think it's where you are, where you're having to live. I suppose where maybe you're forced to live as opposed to your home. And I've felt that being from Molokai because my ohana is originally from Hawaii Mokupuni. Hilo primarily, both my grandma and my grandpa's side. Keaukaha, Pu'uana Hulu, Miloli'i. So I had that sense of hooky because I am from Molokai, but I'm not. It is my home. Our home is in Kaunakakai, and then we also have Aina Pula Pula, homestead in Ho'olehua. My daddy is really from Molokai. I am 5'9", 5'10", in the middle there, and my current weight, I have no idea. I haven't taken my weight since I started my current, as of last year, my walking routine. But height and weight was in my notes of the basics information that I wanted to share. If you're interested, I don't know. Background. So my nationality pretty much is primarily Hawaiian. My birth certificate says my mommy is Korean Hawaiian. My daddy is Irish Hawaiian. Primarily Hawaiian. Daddy was a very Hawaiian man. He did pass away in 2012. That's part of the background and things. But I am primarily Native Hawaiian, Korean, Irish. I speak 2 languages. Olelo Hawaii, English. Yes, siblings and family upbringing. I'm one of 4. Keiki. I have 2 above me and I have 1 below me. I'm the middle baby. My brother is the eldest. He's the hiapo. He's the 80s baby, as well as my kuheana, my sibling of the same sex, who is a female, is also in the 80s. So they are both 80s babies. I am the 90s. Well, actually, me and my kaikaina, my younger sibling of the same sex, who is a female, we are 90s babies. I'm a 93 babe, 2011 grad. I try to be careful with the type of language that I use because if ohana does happen to watch this, I don't want it to come off as insensitive and offensive. It was rough, but it could have been rougher. It could have been worse. And I think my makua just did the best that they could with the cards that were dealt to them. So it was what it was. And it was wonderful. The parts that were great were wonderful. The parts that were not so great were not so great. Some of the not so great was pretty freaking bad. It is what it is. Glory be to God, period. That was our story. It is our story. We were in Maui for a bit. For a while, I think. Maybe like a couple years. And also because my grandpa was in the government political sphere, he worked in Maui as well. He worked there. So that's also what took us to Maui. But yeah, primarily on Molokai. And so our house on Molokai, which is in town in Kaunakakai, that's kind of the sad part because we were put in a position with our home. And so for it to be in the state that it's in now, it's very unfortunate. And maybe, praying that there would be a way that we could reverse that. But we also have our homestead up in Ho'olehua. Homestead to the point where the moonlight as our light and the sunlight as our light. Eventually, we were able to have a generator. My dad, my mom, building an extension to the 40-foot container that my grandpa, because we all lived in the Kaunakakai house, but I think grandpa would migrate to the homestead. And it became our primary place of residence for a bit. and it became our home when my grandpa never have an extension to it. There's like a whole house attached to it now. There's a patio area, and we lived there, and we built that extension. It was a masterpiece. I mean, it was a masterpiece for coming from just the 40-foot matzo container to then building an extension to it. It was a time, but I will never not know what it's like to be in a home, not even a house. I mean, to live on land and to live on red dirt and to have skips using that as flooring. I remember my daddy built that out, bathing in the troughs that our cows and horses drank from. And it's not that I doubt our current living situation. We are incredibly blessed where we are now. But with my daughter now, with Vayahi now, she won't have that same experience. Although I'm making sure the principle of that way of living is being taught to her now. So she might not be learning how to crank on a generator, turn on water heaters. I mean, she is pailani of pailani. I mean, if we're comparing childhoods here, hers with mine and mine's with hers, you just cannot. I can only hope that from the Olelo Hawaii and from the principles of our faith and the principles of our way of life as Hawaii, we bestow and we teach our kids that they'll have a sense of it that way. My mommy and daddy met in high school, had me. My daddy, Mitchell Kuheana Frantz, is his adopted name. So my grandma Gertrude, yes, she remarried, and the name of her husband, his last name was Frantz. I believe the story is my dad recognized him as his father. I don't know anything about that side of my ohana, you guys, also. But that's where Frantz comes from. My relationship with my mother has always been close. My relationship with dad, kind of a little bit of both, okay? Because he developed an addiction to crystal meth, pakalolo. I think it just ultimately led to the accident that he got into. I think his recovery he could have been on his way to a full recovery. It did not work out that way, which is very, very unfortunate. The accident that he was in was very severe. He was in the ICU for a while. I was a freshman or sophomore in high school when this happened. He passed in 2012. I mean, what do you know? What can you tell a marriage would be like, a relationship would be like with someone who has addiction, who struggles with it? But all I can say is I remember so clearly him making so much effort to try. It always resulted in kind of a disappointment, but the man still tried. There was this one, oh my gosh, you guys. There was this one time daddy bought me a cell phone. The Nextel, the walkie-talkie, it was an hold on, I gotta look this up right now. It was an i730. Tell me not, is that not it? Motorola cell phone. That was my dream phone. I wanted a Nextel i730 with a walkie-talkie feature. That little ring could light up. The intentions were well. He bought one for himself too, I think. And that way he and I could have contact. So as small as Molokai is, we were still separated because he lived in Ho'olehua. He lived more west. We were more central. I think he did what he could, but it didn't last very long because he didn't keep up with the phone bill. And he would just do sweet stuff like that to try and maintain the relationship. And he could play anything. He was just that kind. You put something in his hand and he could make something out of it. A melody, a harmony, whatever. He could do it. On top of the fact that he was incredibly disciplined. So that's where I think a lot of my inspiration and motivation for movement has come from. It's because I have pictures of my mom and my dad absolutely jacked. I mean, ripped, man. It's insane. And I think that that's where it comes from. So I'm very grateful. I really genuinely enjoyed living life on Homestead. My daily activities consisted of, making sure the cows and the horses and our horses never plummeted through the gates and the fences, making sure that the water lines worked, making sure that the grass was cut. I mean, those were the typical, but we had the luxury of just living on that land. Hula, we were very much involved in hula. My mom as well. Going to Kula, I was in Kaiapuni, I'm a Punana Leo Bibe. What else did I love? I loved catching the bus. Getting dropped off at my dad's house, getting dropped off at the library, Molokai Public Library, saving up all my quarters and pennies and nickels to go to Dave's Ice Cream and get me one icy that was less than 50 cents when I was going to school there. Being in a small town with people that may have known my grandpa, my dad, my auntie, my mom, my sister, my mom, my everybody. But I still know people to this day, and people still recognize me, and it makes me happy. It makes me happy. Molokai makes me happy. I hope that it hasn't changed too much. I did get to go to sea cliffs. Dude, that was, yeah, when I was stupid and I sat on the edge of the sea cliff like that, bruh. On top of the fact that when I returned to Punanaleo as a teacher, the experience there with all of the families and the children, their children that I taught, Punanaleo has only ever added to my life. And that 3 or 4 years that I was there, the relationships I gained, the experiences I gained, unmatched, man. This one might not take very long. I went to Punanaleo Molokai, and then I moved on to Kekulakaya Punio Kualabu, Papa Malao to Papa Eono. Then did 7th and 8th grade, my middle school years at Ohina Ikamalama at Molokai High and Middle School. Is it Molokai High Middle School nowadays? I don't think so. I was then accepted into Kamehameha. Yes, I am a CAM school grad. Kamehameha school grad, everybody. 2011, Oma, all the way. I was a boarder. You know that's right. You know that's right. Ohali, baby. Border life wasn't easy either. I mean, there were rules you had to follow. You couldn't just be a slob, which I am thankful for. It still gave me a real sense of independency. You go to school, obviously, from 7 to 3 or something like that, and then you come back. There were certain things that you would have to do to malami or kuleana, but for the most part, you were pretty much in control. I think I could have taken advantage of a lot more. I was just kind of insecure, small guy, I think. But I was involved in a lot. I did ensemble. I half-assed managed the football team, I think. I don't know. If you ask the other girls that I managed with, I don't know what they would say. But I just kind of wanted the perks of saying that I managed the varsity football team. I loved it. I don't think I was really great at it, but I loved getting access into the games. We were on the field. It was so lala. It was fun. And then getting a Letterman jacket. I mean, I really just went for the perks, but I did learn a crap ton about football. We filmed plays. Coach Stan. Oh, I did ho'ike, but I kind of classify ho'ike and ensemble as the same thing. Because majority of the time, they're all accepting kids from ensemble to do ho'ike. The majority of them. But it is my personal opinion that my year and those 1 or 2 years after me were the best time to be a boarder. Yeah, we did stupid stuff. We were trying to do this and smoke that and sneak out of this. There's a crap and yeah. It was a great time. It was just a bunch of rowdy country kids that were all just trying to, live life in the city. Yeah, because we're all generally from islands that are country. And now you're putting us all in a building in the city. How else are we supposed to act? Like, how else are we supposed to act? It was just a vibe. I love it. I appreciate it. Mahalo Pauahi. Mahalo to my mom. Because I don't know what the heck kind of paperwork I'm seeing, having been in positions of leadership and also as a makua. I'm seeing the type of paperwork and the hoops you got to jump through to just apply for something. And then on top of that, finding the finances to fund me being there. And God bless you, Mom. Hats off to you. I do say a Bible-believing Christian, but anybody can say that. Anybody says that today. How the hell are you interpreting the Bible, okay? We may interpret it very differently. But through and through, I am a Christian who believes in the Nicene Creed, or the Apostles' Creed, yeah? And so it's been a passion of mine to discover that fine line in between of what it is to be Hawaii and what it is to be Kalikiana. So following Kamehameha, I did return home to Molokai. I found a couple jobs. I got a couple jobs as a bank teller. I worked at Molokai Burger. I worked at a burger joint. I did some shady stuff at the burger joint too. I didn't do any shady stuff at the bank. No. But just as a confession. Following Molokai Burger, following the bank, was the opportunity to go to Christ for the Nations. Not really the opportunity, but just there, it was a possibility for me to maybe go, and off I went. And then my 20s was living in Texas, was going to Bible college. It was the experience of my life. I'm going to save that for another video. And then the opportunity came for me to move back with my then roommate, to her home in Pennsylvania. I lived in the East Coast, girl. I was in Pennsylvania. I was living it up there. I loved the snow and spent time with my brother up there too. That was where I was prior to Texas. And on my way back home from Pennsylvania, stopped in California, spent time with my brother, and then ultimately came back home. I needed a job, and that was where I began my career with Punana, returning as a teacher this time. Obviously not a student, but yet kind of still a student because I was working with the teachers that taught me, which leads us to the ultimate dream job, the ultimate career of my life. Not even foreseeing that it would be a career of mine, that it would even be a desire of mine to working with children and speaking Hawaiian all day. I liked it. It was cool to work with little kids. I've always loved keiki because I work so much in children's ministry, you know. And just over time, seeing my teachers, who are now my bosses, their dedication to the program, and the ultimate goal of understanding why are we revitalizing Hawaiian language? And then it all kind of just blink, blink. I mean, all the lights started turning on. And the families that we worked with just made it that much more of the funnest thing ever, the funnest program ever. But it just became all clear to me at the time that this was so much more than a paycheck. It was returning to the place that had poured so much into me, to the people, because I was working with my kumu, who also poured, and it was pouring then when I was working at the time into me. And so it was just kind of this reciprocal dedication and devotion and love to the cultural practice that is our language, to the gift, to the blessing that is Hawaiian language, Olelo Hawaii. While social media was very much still at the back of my mind all the time, I got sent PR by Neutrogena, I was sent PR from Sigma, but I think I had put so much effort into it then, and I may have dropped it for a bit, but I just know I can pick it up and run with it again. But yes, Punana has always been it for me. Punana, after all, is how my husband and I met. I cannot talk about my husband without talking about Punana. I cannot talk about Punana without talking about my husband. It's kind of just one and the same experience. I don't know. It's like I bleed Punana. It is what it is. It's hard to talk about it without getting emotional about my abrupt end with working with them. I did leave Punana Molokai after 3 or 4 years. In those 3 or 4 years was when my husband and I met, and the rest is history. It was all thanks to those quarterly and summerly meetings, guys. Those, what do you call those? Those workshops. And I would have to fly here to Oahu, or I would fly to Hawaii Mokopuni, and we were able to launa that way. And that was on the rise of social media, so Snapchat was a thing. And it went mohala into now married, living on Oahu with a beautiful home and 1 5-year-old baby. However, even having left Molokai and met my husband, we were married, I actually returned to I returned to Punana in 2023. Yes, I did return to Punana because I will say Punana it's always been there. Been pretty constant in my life from freaking toddlerhood to adulthood now, you know? And even for my own keiki, even her attending, until it all kind of came to a very abrupt, it was abrupt, but then the progression towards the abruptness was very painful and was very long and drawn out. I almost wished that it was more abrupt, but it wasn't. A lot of smiling and trying to keep it together. Yeah. So that was that. Keali'i, however, is still very much still there. And we love what we did. We love he loves what he does. We love what we do. My heart always will belong to that program. To the end, man. To the friggin' end. On the topic of my hubby and my kane and how many children we want, thoughts on family, we want all the babies. We want them all, but we can only have one right now. I don't know what's up. We've been trying to conceive since Vaiahi was pretty much born. We were ready. Or were we? I don't know. Maybe we weren't. Which is also another thing towards physical movement. I'm hoping that that contributes to my overall health. I think that it is. That's contributing to helping me conceive another child, even though I know that it's probably a number of different things that maybe Keali'i and I should pursue some type of additional kokua in that department. But yes, we want all the babies. But I feel like we're going to be the couple that will only be allowed one. It's something I've been wrestling with for a long time, even though I have my little marker points. Marker points meaning, okay, for example, my kuheana, my older sister of the same sex, I want to define this because I don't hear a lot of people using these terminologies in Ololoi. The gap between her first bebe and her second was 7 years. That's a marker point for me. It's been 5 years now. But once that 7 years comes and it doesn't happen, I'm like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? The second is my mother. My mother had my kaikaina, my younger sister, my younger sibling of the same sex, who's a female. Okay, she had her when she was in her 40s. That's another marker point for me. And then third, Miss Sarah in the Bible. Be it unto me according to your word is what we say, God. Okay, what we say. And while I know that there are things that we can do on our end, the medical stuff that maybe we can seek further help in, like I said earlier, there's also a point in it, guys, where you just gotta kind of let go and let God. And I don't like to use that terminology loosely because I know how destructive it can be. But there is a point where you just have to say, you gotta let it go and you gotta let God. Let's stick with the be it unto me according to your word language, okay? Because that's better. It's more accurate, honestly, I think. Adoption is also a wonderful option. A very expensive option. I think it's a little bit more complex and all those other things that come with adoption, but that's definitely on the table. I've always loved to yap. I think I just gotta start there. I've always loved to yap. I love engaging in conversation. Oh, it's getting quite light out here. So when it comes to social media, it takes a certain confidence to be able to know that there are people on the other side of the screen that are looking at you that could very well be critiquing the hell out of your looks, your appearance, your life, your relationships, your mannerisms, and your style. Oh God, I know that all too well. So it does take a certain sense of vulnerability and openness to being on camera, sharing your opinion, knowing that people definitely could have some harsh words to say about you. They put nails in my Savior's hands and feet, put a crown of thorns up his head, and hung him on a cross. I can live to see another day if some words are thrown at me, okay? I don't believe in the saying sticks and stones can break your bones, but words, because words can cut, babe. Words can cut. And there's a reason why it's also, scriptural, where it says life and death is in the power of it, okay? Of that. Ika o lalo no keola, ika o lalo no kamake, babe. My. Where do we frickin' start? I've struggled with the most, the manini sins that are not manini, but are very much sins, okay? Just lying, deceiving. Remember when I shared about the burger joint and the shady things that I did when I worked? Yeah, I was like, what did I do? What? I didn't steal money, but I was taking food and not paying for it. There you go. Okay. That's one example. The lying to my parents, lying to my mom, having a corn issue. Picking up what I'm putting down? And that, I think it kind of stemmed from, and honestly, I think really not being taught the right way. And especially the Jesus way, the narrow way. Because that's always taboo. That's always not talked about, isn't it? Bodily autonomy, sex, premarital sex, sex in marriage. I mean, those questions that nobody wants to talk about, nobody wants to touch. Because nobody's well versed enough in their scripture and in their Bible to be able to talk about it. And I'm talking about beyond just what my parents could teach me, but also within the ministry. Additionally, I think a few years after my dad's death, or around my dad's death, I think it resurfaced in my mind of possible moments of sexual abuse from my dad. But I couldn't quite, it was so long ago. It had been so long ago, but I thought, if I have even the slightest idea of it, is it true? Did it really happen? And I'm just sharing that to shed a huge light on this very hidden and taboo conversation of addiction to corn. Okay? Oh man, I mean, all the moms from Hawaii are all doing their matcha runs. I love me a good matcha. I obviously love my Walking Bad matching workout sets. Oh, at leisure, I have a weak spot for that too. Disney girl, we are Disney people. Oh my gosh. I love being in airports. I love catching flights. My bank account don't like catching flights, but I do. We do. I love cutesy makeup stuff like this. I love my girl stuff. I like my girly things. But Offer me and my ohana to go hunting and skin one deer. There, count me in. Offer me one raw opihi on the beach of Molokai or Oahu somewhere. I would eat it. Being more intentional, being face to face, eye to eye. One of the things I want to work on is in stores with cashiers. Tipping, okay, that's a huge, but it's something I want to improve on. When we go out to eat, I want to be radical tippers. One of the things that I told Kelly I want to do is say, hey, we're not going to go out to eat anymore if we are not able to tip our bill. That's pretty radical, right? That's pretty wild. But that's the type of Christian that I want to be, because I hate being sleazy ass tipping Christians. And we came into a predicament with one particular server that has served us beyond, above and beyond for years. It's shameful. Additionally, that means you don't go out to eat as much, period. And you save money. That's just my philosophy. But if you take it, you better credit me, okay? Honestly, it's a mixture of things. When it comes to Christianity, Christianese, I'm very careful with my language. So to say that it's 100% Jesus and it's 100% God, it really is. On a level, it is. But on a level, it's my husband and my daughter waking up in the morning. It's just the practical sensory stuff that can be easily taken from me in a moment. And so I think it's in good faith when people say it's 100% Jesus, it's 100% God, it's all God, but it's also not accurate. Because even in a career or even in anything that you do, you don't get to a point on your own. You're always depending on somebody. There's someone that's allowing you the connection or the resource to get to the next step. And as a Hawaiian, you already know you're not doing it on your own. It's just embedded in you being Hawaii. But for just a regular human being, nobody who believes anything, your mother and your father. So you still wouldn't even be here. You wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for two human beings. And respecting the idea that you did not do this on your own. You didn't do anything on your own. You didn't even exist on your own. So stop using that language. But having a good grip on the idea that the Lord can give and the Lord can take away. My life is not my own. The life of my child is not my own. The life of my husband is not my own. It's not even his own. Vayahi's life is not even her own. And yet, in so many cases, for so many of you, within my close circle of people that I know personally, that I've met and I've talked to and I've conversed with, and those of you around the world, we know all too well the pain and the sting of death. However, there is a but in that sentence, because Christ came. And so I can only hope as we end this time together, my friend, that the Lord would draw near to you and you would respond and draw near to him. And there is life everlasting on the other side of your sacrifice of praise, the sacrifice of your own life, the life of your kids, the life of your marriage, the life of your relationships, your career, when you crucify all of that to the cross and render it unto the Lord as his own. Because it's only ever been his. It's always been his. We will return to him one day. And I am so dead ass about this. I'm so confident about this. I have to use foul, millennial TikTok language to prove the point. O Yesu ko ukahuhipa. I don't know if there's anything else in my life that I could possibly share with you, because I've pretty much shared it all. And I hope you've gotten to know me better by the end of this video. But this is me. Ovau o kapua kuheana Rasmussen. Aloha voia Yesu, ko ohana, ovau he Hawaii, o ko pakahia pau. Mahalo nui ke hoiana.